When you think of the history of EMU track and field, you can't think many more than the Olympic history that it's been able to have. It's been an Olympic member since 1960 that Eastern Michigan has seen the track record representative advance each and every year since then. In total, Eastern has accumulated 24 MAC outdoor titles. They've had 15 MAC indoor track and field titles, and that's not even mentioning the 23 cross-country championships Eastern Michigan has strung together. We're lucky enough to be joined by a great selection of individuals today that's made so much in the history of Eastern Michigan track and field over the years. And we're first luckily enough to be joined alongside head coach John Goodridge, now in his 20th year, a multi-time coach of the year in the Mid-American Conference. He's coached 22 All-Americans. John, welcome. First, when you think about EMU's history, the flame is burning very bright with Eastern Michigan.
Greg, absolutely, and we're so pleased for this group to be assembled today. Truly, the flame still burns. The flame of life burns around the world in these trying times. This flame still burns for the athletes of the world, whether that are high school athletes, university athletes, or professional athletes. I'm sure the flame still burns for our great EMU track and field and cross-country alums. And we're all brought together today because the flame certainly still burns for EMU alum and Olympic aspirant Donald Scott.
Yeah, John, we're lucky enough to have Donald, but we've got a bunch of people on the line. I know I'm thrilled to be here. I'll let you do some of the introductions and kind of take us around the room. Who's here?
Well, we have Dan McClory. Dan's a former EMU cross-country captain and has been just a great supporter of EMU track and field and has a history of supporting post-collegiate athletes. He now serves on the executive board of USATF. Sterling Roberts, EMU alum, and has been my assistant for the past 8 years, and he's Donald's coach. Chris Huffins. Chris was a former assistant coach at EMU, and he was Donald's first triple jump coach at Eastern. And we're very fortunate that some of our Olympians have been able to join us. Great high jumper, Jamie Nieto. Great 1,500 meter runner, Paul McMullen. So this is a group that clearly understands what it means when we say the flame still burns.
Thanks, John. As we continue the conversation, fellas, if there, don't feel free to step in and if interject as needed. But we'll start first, Sterling. Now in your 8th year as the assistant head coach at Eastern Michigan, working with Coach Goodridge, you look at Donald's development and what he's been able to do. We've seen him being a champion, both Mid-American and on the national level. Fill us in on some of Donald's accomplishments.
Yeah, Donald is, obviously he's a tremendous athlete, but really overall just a tremendous young man, very fast learner. When I arrived at Eastern, Donald was already here. It was a sophomore year after working with Coach Huffins his freshman year. So honestly, I kind of lucked out and stumbled into being having the opportunity to work with him, and it's been a pleasure. I've now worked with him all my 8 years I've been at Eastern, both as a collegiate athlete, where he was a dual sport athlete, football and track and field. And when he finally that last year in college decided to hang up those football cleats, he really, he took off, literally and figuratively. His development has been simply, nothing short of phenomenal. And, we do this every year and he hits new PRs, and every year when you're kind of going back to the drawing board and you're thinking, well, what more can we work on? How much more does he have to go? He goes out there and he finds another gear and takes it even further. And beats more people that he didn't beat the year before and qualifies to bigger meets. So it really is just as a tremendous honor and privilege to be able to work with a young man like Donald. And it's been a great run, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how far it goes, especially with this kind of off year that we have. I know Donald and I are both looking forward to seeing what we can do next year and keep on moving through.
Is there a particular meet or moment that you remember that kind of stands out at you as kind of one of his shining accomplishments so far?
I'd say there's several, but I feel like every one we've had has been kind of hallmarked by a little bit of adversity for him. And through his career, he's obviously had that just like any athlete would. But the most recent example was in Doha at the World Championships this year. In the triple jump preliminary round, where you got 3 jumps to qualify, he was not in qualifying with 1 jump to go. And, he didn't panic. He dug deep and he popped a big one that got him that qualifying mark on the last jump. And when we got to triple jump finals, where you have 3 jumps and then they take the top 8 after those 3, he was not in the top 8 with only 1 jump to go. And again, he dug deep and he showed, that he can do it. He showed himself and the world that he's ready. He can do it. Doesn't matter what the pressure, doesn't matter what the stakes. He's capable and he's ready to go. So.
Dan McClory, will come to you next. When you look at you and your history with Eastern Michigan, you're a guy that has been a great benefactor to our university over its history, and a supporter, a Champions Advisory Board member, and now you're also a member of the executive board for USA Track and Field. First off, kind of what got you so involved in the track and field community? And secondly, what makes Eastern so special?
Thanks, Greg. The reason I came to Eastern was track and field. When I was recruited, if you want to say that, out of high school, Coach Parks had such an inclusive policy. And, I thought it was Steve Prefontaine or something, and I wasn't anywhere close to that. And so I came to Eastern and found an extremely supportive environment, again, that was inclusive, and a theme that applies to the Olympians on this call, that applies to Donald Scott, that applies to everybody who goes through the track and field and cross-country programs at Eastern, is it's an elite program, but it's not elitist. So these are good people. These are hardworking people that have approached the sport not from abundance, but from scarcity, and not from tremendous resources, but from the ability to overcome. And everyone on this call today has a unique story in that regard, and Donald in particular. So the environment at Eastern, and it continues to this day, is one of inclusion and one of support, and one that can develop athletes. Athletes don't necessarily come to Eastern as Olympians, but they leave and become Olympians. And I think that's a really important theme. It's sort of easy just to feed the strong and to take people who are already at the top of their game and kind of move them a little bit through the system. But Eastern has been extremely developmental, and that takes a particular talent. This has given me the ability to get more involved at the national and international level on the foundation of the USA Track and Field, which is the fundraising arm for that sport. So we see all the athletes, we see all the grant requests, we see all of the attempts to break through. And Donald's journey has been nothing short of spectacular. From what he's overcome and from what he's become and what he continues to do it's just incredible. I think Sterling's discussion of Mr. Clutch is really fitting. I mean, the last time I saw Donald was actually in Doha along with Sterling, and he came in 6th in the world. I mean, this is phenomenal. And not only is he an incredibly talented and high-performing athlete, he's a great person. And you'll hear that consistently about Eastern's top athletes. I think of Jamie Nieto on this call, who I remember when he was inducted into the EMU Athletic Hall of Fame, I got to say, the world needs more people like Jamie Nieto. We need more people like Donald Scott. Our kids need to be like these guys. They're just great people. They're not arrogant. They're humble. They're very accomplished. So when you see those kind of talents and attributes, you want to support that. You want to do whatever you can to encourage it. And Eastern's been able to do that for 7 decades. And it's an unparalleled streak that we have. And I can't think of a better university. I can't think of a better program. I can't think of a better set of athletes to encourage. And as Donald takes the mantle and moves into Tokyo, I think there's going to be a very interesting continuation of that legacy. And I frankly just can't wait.
Dan, as you talk on when you sit with your USA track and field peers, and they talk about their schools in particular, and Eastern, of course, has the ability to sit up there with the USCs of the world and the Oregons of the long, distinct history. When you have those conversations and you say Eastern Michigan, a 50-plus year streak of going to the Olympics, what is it like to rep that Block E as well when you sit in those meetings?
Well, it's great. I mean, it's no coincidence that I have this Zoom background with Bowman Fieldhouse. So whenever I show up on a call in the new COVID environment, people immediately say, "What is that? Where are you?" And they might have Hayward Field or Stanford Stadium or something behind them. But first of all, they understand the brand of Eastern. They know the mark that we've made. And then when we continue to emphasize, we've got a longer streak than those perhaps storied schools that you mentioned. It's really quite an aha moment for them. And I think the guy who put it best, and he's right there in the same event as Donald, is Willie Banks. Willie Banks, world champion triple jumper, inventor of the overhead clap, getting ready to run down the runway. When he had a chance to meet Donald, he said, not only does this guy have incredible talent, he is a super good person. And by the way, that's going to take him, as well as everyone else, into life and on to many, many more accomplishments. So I think it's the combination of the accomplishments and the talent, but the quality of the people. And, Donald hopefully is our next Olympian in a long string that we have, but Donald's going to go out and make an impact in life. And it's the skills and qualities that he learned at Eastern, as well as everything he's doing today, that are going to make him continue to be successful in whatever he decides to do. So I think those are some of the takeaways that I get when I make everyone aware, hey, this guy's from Eastern. Hey, listen about our Olympic streak. It's something that they acknowledge and understand, but they see the quality level of the people.
We'll bring Donald Scott into the equation right now. And Donald, you hear all the things that your coaches have said and Dan McClory said about you, but take us back. The triple jump is a very challenging event. What was your first moment or memory with triple jump, and what got you involved in that particular event?
Yes, hi guys. I started triple jump in high school. I was mainly a relay sprinter and hurdler. But I was forced to do triple jump by my mentor, who I call my dad today. His name is Sean Prophet. But he just guided me as much as he could have. And then I just took it from there. And then when I got to college is when I really learned how to be, a great triple jumper. And it has gained me much success, and I'm thankful for everyone, especially alumni, Eastern, Coach Roberts, everybody for all the support and stuff. But, you
look at yourself right now, and you're trying to balance a bunch of different things. One, you're a relatively new husband still. You're even more a recent dad. How do you go about trying to balance your working out, balancing home life, and you're still working as well?
Yeah. I love, there's this thing I love about me, and it's I'm not lazy. I can't sit still for too long. And my coach knows that. If I have 2 weeks break, I'm ready to get back to it after 3 days. So it's like, I love to stay busy. So sports is my way of being free, you know? So it's like when it comes to balancing everything, it's not hard because I'm doing something I love. It's providing a great income for my family. So taking care of my family, which is a main goal. I'm traveling the world and I'm just loving all the experiences. And now that I'm married and have a daughter, that just, it pushes me to go harder, you know? So I'm just loving this journey that I'm on right now.
I know when I talked to you a few weeks ago and when we had you on our podcast, we talked a bit about you being a frontline worker and having essential duties right now as the COVID epidemic goes on. For those people that aren't aware, tell us kind of how has this pandemic, one, affected you from a work standpoint, and two, also now with the Olympics being pushed back a year, how has that also changed things?
Yeah, it changed things a lot because I was on a roll and I was supposed to be at the Olympics this year. I mean, it's fine because I'll be there next year. I would say just I kind of lost track. Repeat the question again. I'm sorry about that.
Just the whole pandemic. How has it one, changed your training, and then two, kind of your work life as well?
Yes, it changed everything because I couldn't use Eastern facilities anymore. I coach at a local high school. I couldn't use that anymore. I couldn't go to the gym I lived at. So everything was just, shut down. And I just found ways to, just stay active. There's local parks I can still go to. I have enough room at home to do stuff. I have weights at home. So I have all the resources to stay in top shape. So there's no excuse for, to get lazy or anything just because, everything happened. You just got to do what's, you got to play the hand that you're dealt, basically.
You're sitting on this call with 3 Olympians right now, and Paul, Jamie, and Chris. What's it like to be in their company, knowing that a year from now you hope to be rocking that Olympic logo that we see so clearly on Coach Goodridge's background?
It's a great feeling to wake up every day because I wake up around probably 6:30, so it's still kind of dark outside. It's a great feeling to drive to Bourne. Walk inside Bourne, to cut on those lights, and you see that long row of Olympians and champions, and I kind of get upset with myself because I wasn't a national, an NCAA national champion, but it's okay. But I'm just surrounded by greatness, and it's just that energy that's in there that I just love being there. I'm there for like probably 5 hours a day.
It's funny, when we went to juniors, everybody was like super shocked at Donald, and neither he nor I was at all. If I remember correctly, we were like moderately happy, but
yeah,
the fact that he didn't jump like 16, 30, or 40 in that meet, I think kind of pissed us both off.
Yeah. I always have meets where it's a big jump. I either foul or mess it up somehow.
Nature of jumping, man.
Yeah, I know.
I just remember being mad that Dendy didn't triple jump and he just long jumped.
Paul, maybe this is best for you. I mean, you've faced a lot of adversity in your career. I mean, you look at what Donald's had to face, and you guys, all of you, at some point in your career, have to overcome something. Talk about your journey overcoming it, and kind of what you've seen Donald being able to do.
Yeah, well, as a great question as that is, Greg, there's really no one here that's overcome more than Jamie Nieto. So
that's true.
I just want to clear the air right there. So anything that I went through just pales in comparison. So, but I think really what we're talking about here is something has happened that Donald didn't expect. and there has to be an ability to come and face each day with a positive attitude that despite the rules getting changed, I'm not traveling. I can't go to the track. I can't get to the gym. Donald has already shared that he's subjected himself to a higher standard by implementing a routine, and that routine is an equation, right, of getting to his goal regardless of the adversity before him.
Yeah, this was like probably one of the highlights of my career, man.
Sacramento?
Yeah, it was in Sacramento, my hometown. To be able to jump at the Olympic trials in front of my friends and family and people who I grew up with, it was an amazing accomplishment.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And moment in my career.
Awesome.
Jamie, I'll let you add to that. I mean, we all know your struggles that you've had to overcome. When you look back and you see the video of your 2004 moment going to the Olympics, or in 2012 and what you did in the high jump, but now, of course, continuing to fight to walk and do everything that you've done after your injury. I mean, talk about that. And I mean, is that, I mean, it's gotta, I mean, it's not like going and being in the Olympics, but you're competing and winning life in a different way now.
Yeah, man. It's we're all faced with challenges at some point in time in our life, and I think the biggest thing is how we react to those challenges. Are we going to let those challenges hinder us, or are we going to use these challenges as new opportunities to be even better and to succeed at something else in life? And I've been very blessed to be able to have that mind frame. I think that's where it starts when it comes to being an Olympian. Is you have to believe first in your head that you can and you will be an Olympian, and you belong amongst those people who are those Olympians that you're competing against. So once you've done it there in your mind, the possibilities are endless. So I hope that Donald sees that, and he just continues to believe that he belongs on this stage where we're at, and even beyond, and doesn't let anything hinder him. And even if he does have adversities and challenges, that he reacts positively to them, and overcomes them and uses them as a new opportunity to get better.
Speaking from your experience, and Paul, even this can be included in you, how much is it for this next year trusting the process and embracing the coaching to get you ready again for Tokyo 2021? I mean, you guys did the men's training, but then at the last minute, you didn't get it ripped away from you. You went and competed. He's had it taken away from him. How do you go about embracing that challenge for the next year?
If it's okay, I'll go, Jamie. All right.
Yeah. You're talking.
Yeah. So it's real simple. There's a proven track record, if you will, in Donald's case, it's a field record, but there's a steady progression. So this is not the time to make any changes with your coach. This is not any time to make any drastic changes with your training. There isn't some secret special sauce to make the Olympic team. Donald, we've heard, is a clutch guy, and he now represents and holds the torch for all of us at Eastern Michigan, including the Olympians, to keep the streak going. And it's going to come down to 3 jumps, right, to get to the finals and then to make that Olympic team. And if anything is true about the future, is that it'll follow a similar pattern that's happened in the past. Not that it's not without risk and without pressure, but Donald will look inside himself of, I recognize this moment. I've done this before, and now I'm going to do it again.
Jamie, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, when Paul said that, that just made me think about visualization and the amount of visualization that I did leading up to the Olympic Games or the Olympic trials, and just really just seeing every possibility possible that could happen at the Olympic trials, and watching myself overcome that. So hopefully that could be a good a tip for Donald is 5-10 minutes a night or a day, whenever you have that time, just really just sit there and visualize every possible outcome of what could happen at the Olympic trials. And if especially if it's Oregon, you want to see yourself winning in the rain. If it's super hot that day, you want to see yourself performing with the crowd, with everything. And I think that way, when you do get there, you will have done it so many times, and you will have seen yourself on that podium so many times that it will eventually come to pass. So, and you won't be surprised by anything that does happen, because things don't always go the way they're supposed to,
Chris, on your end, anything that you'd like to add? I mean, having been in the shoes of Paul and Jamie going to the Olympics, again, it's trusting the process to continue the coaching and training to get there.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. I think to add on to what those guys have said, and if I gave any advice to anybody who's in Donald's situation, I think the thing is to remember that all of this stuff is mental. Like, at this point in time, the physical skill difference between the first place person and the 12th place person at the Olympic trials is very, very minimal. But the strength of mind and strength of self-conviction is very, very different. And Donald's always been that way. And if you listen to him talk, he's already spoken it into existence. And I completely believe that he's going to be on the Olympic team and going to be on the podium, because he already sees it. And that's everything. If you, like right now, the one thing COVID-19 can't stop, for Donald or anybody else, is it can't stop you from becoming more mentally strong and more mentally tough. And I think I said this once before, Donald, a year older and wiser and more prepared, is just a year more dangerous. I'm not concerned with him at all. I think it might change the color of the medal.
Helps if I hit unmute myself. I mean, we'd like to have that and one more gold medal hanging in Bowen Fieldhouse soon enough. You guys look at this, and you heard me at the beginning talk about the 24 MAC outdoor titles, the 15 indoor titles, the 23 cross-country championships, and the most decorated program, in my opinion, at Eastern Michigan, the longest in terms of tradition. When you think back, and I know Coach uses it a lot, and it's not cliche, but the tradition of winning at EMU is strong, and it's a pillar that so many people wish they could replicate. This is kind of open for the group, but when you think of EMU's tradition, is there a story or a moment that are each of your favorite moments that you've been a part of at Eastern?
I'll go. Yeah, I think about when I first got to Eastern Michigan, Coach Parks, they told me about a high jumper who, I'll try to make the story quick, but they told me about a high jumper who no-heighted, and they ended up losing the MAC championships. And so as I was starting to jump better and better, this one year we went to the indoor MAC championships, and they had us jumping off of AstroTurf, that doesn't happen anymore. It was so weird at that point in time. But, and, looking back, I think Coach was right. Coach was like, hey, just come in a little early, get a jump in, and, so we at least know we're going to get some points. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, I've come in at this height, which was like 6'10" or 7 feet every time I've competed. So why would I come in any lower? It doesn't make any sense to me. like I said, looking back, I probably should have listened to him. And so, you know, my first 2 jumps at 7 feet, I missed. So this was an opportunity that we might have been put in the same situation where we were going to lose the MAC again. And luckily, I came through on the 3rd jump and cleared the bar, and then cleared the next bar. But I know everybody was on pins and needles, especially Coach Parks, and we ended up winning the MAC Indoor Championship that year. But I thought that was a funny story. That's one that sticks out to me.
Yeah, the story I would share is, you know, being sort of the least accomplished athletically among this group, is, you know, the adage that Eastern Track and Field and Coach Parks taught us all, which is the only way to get better is to compete against people who are better than you. You know, don't shy away from that. And you know, that's such a universal axiom. I mean, that's how you get smart at school. That's how you get good at sports. That's how you become successful in life. And so Eastern and its programs always taking on anybody, anywhere, anytime, despite constraints and resources and difficulties, COVID environment now we can talk about. That's super important. And again, that's a lesson that plays out every day for everyone in life. We have this unique background from Eastern that we can really use to be strong and carry forward into life. And, you know, we don't have him on the call today, but Eric Alejandro, you know, who's one of our more recent Olympians as well. I remember him saying the thing that his real takeaway was, when he would go internationally or when he would compete in places, you know, way beyond Eastern, the support that he had from Eastern alumni, competitors, colleagues, and everything else was pretty unparalleled. And you know, he had many people remark to him about that. And as he said, the carrying and the passing of the torch, Jamie, when you guys got together in London in 2012, and you went into that opening ceremony, and you kind of said, "Look, you're going to take this and run with this, Eric," and that, you know, Eric looks forward to doing that with Donald. I mean, those are some of the stories that you can't make up. They're bigger than life, and they're super important.
You know, we've used the word tradition a lot today, and hearing all these great stories, and what a great opportunity this is for us to highlight this group and all the other EMU Olympians. But there's another sentiment that we've heard so much today, and there's another word that I think is equally as important as tradition with this program, and it's legacy. And that legacy, Eastern has one of the oldest track and field programs in the country. And there has been a tradition, one could say legacy of success all these years. And that's because of not just the accomplishments of these great athletes that are here today, but it's every man that has worn the uniform. And I know when I first came to Eastern, and certainly was well aware of all the past accomplishments, but until it's been part of the program, to experience that legacy of feeling that people have and had about the program, I think is equally as impressive as these phenomenal Olympic accomplishments of our Eastern men. So it's a special program.
No, you look at the success overall. Coach, you think of the people you've been able to coach. You've certainly coached Donald. You've gotten to know Paul and Jamie, and worked with Sterling and Chris, and been close with Dan for a long time. When you're surrounded by this group, what stands out at you amongst the folks on this call, and even the alums who are going to watch this from home? The alumni fan base is second to none when it comes to EMU track and field.
It's passion. We've just heard it. Every one of these men that has spoken, it's not just the accomplishments, it's who these men are. And that's why I wish to make sure we all know that legacy is for years. It's over 100-year program, and it's been such a meaningful experience for those of us that have been fortunate enough to be a part of it. Several of our fellows here have talked about that presence of whether it's greatness or just being challenged, daring to be great. The opportunity, one of our alums coined this, Fred LaPlante, to slay dragons. Embracing the challenge, doing what people don't think we're capable of doing. There is a spirit that has run through this program, and I think there's just so much pride, whether you've had the opportunity to be an athlete or to be fortunate enough to be a coach in this program. It is just terribly, terribly inspiring. And we all talked about doing this at this time when everybody is facing so many serious challenges in life. And we can all sit back and reflect on what we have all learned in being Eastern men, and carrying those things through. As Dan said, it's so many of these lessons that all of us have learned in working at Eastern that can carry through and be such a great benefit to us outside the athletic experience.
One more question. I know we're approaching our time, but we can certainly continue the conversation as long as you'd like. But when you look at Donald for the next year plus and your journey to the Olympics, if somebody is wanting to help you in whatever the way they can, how can they get involved in your journey? Or even John or Dan, if you want to speak to the aspect of, even in this times when budgets are going to be tightened a little bit, how can they ensure that the legacy of EMU track and field continues as well by helping support the program?
Yeah, I think it's super important that the tradition continues and everything moves ahead. President Smith, Scott Weatherby, the athletic director, firmly behind these programs, men, women, track, cross country, indoor, outdoor. It all starts there. And we have those commitments in place. But we have to keep building on them. We have to keep moving it forward. And there's nothing that would reflect more favorably on the university than this Olympic tradition. It's widely talked about. It's widely pointed to. The history of championships at the Mid-American Conference level that we have in the sport. No other program even comes close. I think you've alluded to that, Greg. And you know, it's not a program with an overabundance of resources. A lot has been done with relatively little. So whatever alumni can do, whether it's one-on-one outreach with someone like Donald or Jamie when he was competing, or any of our other athletes, Eric, for example, who intends to make another run at Tokyo 2021. As they would tell you, one of the most important things is to know that somebody cares, to know that somebody's behind you. You're not up against it on your own, and knowing that people are there and that people can act. That could be with words of support. That could be financially. That could be by your presence. It could be with advice. It could be helping people make the next move to the next level. There's so many ways that Eastern's tradition can be supported. And you'll hear about these from time to time, the wider audience that's going to view this Zoom call about what Eastern is doing to maintain and perpetuate this tradition. And there's not a sport that has, I think, greater tradition, success, or to me, importance at Eastern than track and field.
Well, guys, that kind of wraps up my questions. Anything that I may have missed or you'd like to add? All right, Coach, I'll turn it back over to you for to wrap it up and send us all home.
Looks like Donald wants to say something here. He unmuted, so there's something big coming from the Scott House Club.
I was just saying I didn't have anything else to add. Again, I just want to thank you guys for this opportunity. I would like to, thank my coaches for everything, my past coaches. Everyone is a part of success, basically. So, thank you guys.
Donald may have locked up on us.
The poltergeist strikes again.
There we go. We got him back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm not sure what happened.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh. I was done talking. I don't know if you guys heard everything or not.
I think we did, Don.
Paul, Jamie, anything you'd like to add?
I was just gonna say, hey man, good luck. Be blessed. Keep God first. Keep praying, man. Keep visualizing, and you'll be there too, man. I look forward to continuing to follow your success and seeing you go all the way, man. So, like I said, I sent you a message on Instagram. If you ever need to talk, I'm here. If any advice I can give you, I'm more than willing to share. So, yeah, man, good luck and do your thing.
Yeah, and then for me, hopefully, I think you've seen this before, but dream big, work hard. And today I gave all I had. What I've kept is lost forever. And I just want to say thank you for having me on. Obviously, my school spirit is still strong. I even found my old jersey, and it was an honor to be a part of this Zoom call.
Paul even has his the top of the hurdle that he broke out for us earlier before.
Oh, yeah.
So he's fully decked out in his Eastern regalia.
All right, there you guys go. I'm not sure what happened, but I hope you guys heard everything I said. I was froze for a minute.
This is a tough act to follow. And I think we'll just close it on a word we've said quite often, and that word is tradition. Let's try to do this on 3. 1, 2, 3. Tradition.
Thanks, everybody. I can't appreciate your time enough for this. I know Dan said he was the least accomplished athlete on the call, but I'll take that because for what you guys do, I can't run or jump or do anything to save my life. So I am thrilled to have been a part of this call and be able to sit with greatness, because what you guys do on a daily basis and have done is certainly inspiring. So I can't thank you enough for letting me be part of this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks, guys.